48%.
Just looking to find out night or day to
Yes.
celebrate.
We have to do something.
Yeah, I did it once in Teresa County.
Florida has been baptized.
Not Allen.
No, Funnel.
Oh, nice.
After that, though. That's good. That is good.
Same, because we're going to New York next weekend for my mom's friend's wedding. So
New York City?
Because I don't think it's right.
I also love how this place, there's always a big bag of potato chips on there.
Help yourself.
Oh, thank you. Do they still have the amusement only machines in the other room?
What's that?
Do they still have the amusement only machines in the other room?
Can't say.
I love it. Oh, I haven't seen one of those in years.
Well, first of all, thank you for being here. And let me just start at the beginning with something that needs to be said that's really, really important. Cincinnati is a great American city. The people who live in this community are great people. We have great amenities. We have two incredible national sports teams that are both going to win their respective divisions this year. Just throwing that out there. We have great amenities. We have great parks. We have great zoo. We have great restaurants. And that needed to be said. This wasn't about anything other than making certain that we do better as a community. And we had a meeting right in this exact room earlier today with the mayor, with a couple members of council, with the prosecutor, with the FBI special agent in charge, our future U.S. attorney, the deputy from the sheriff's department, and the police chief. And while I will always be transparent and tell you maybe that meeting started a little rough, it ended in a pretty good place. By the way, I also give props to the governor. He brought his head of public safety here from Columbus as well. And look, what we've committed to do is to work together, city, county, state, and federal, to make certain that what happened about 8 or 9 days ago never happens again. That's the guiding principle. We want to make certain that anybody who lives in Ohio can come to any of our cities. By the way, this isn't just about Cincinnati. This is also a message for Columbus and Cleveland and Akron and Youngstown and Dayton and Toledo, that all of our cities have to be safe. Safety is paramount. That is a minimum requirement that any elected official should insist on. Prosperity is the second piece, because a lot of this is fixed with prosperity, and we're doing that between the tax certainty with the One Big Beautiful Bill, putting more money in the hands of working Americans with that bill, securing our border, fighting drug trafficking, a tariff policy that's going to bring more good, high-paying jobs and opportunities for America is all part of the picture. But today, it's about, look, we have to do better as a community. Holly has graciously agreed to be here, and let me just say this. The one part of the story that I found, honestly, I'll just use the word despicable, is when Holly was lambasted in the media as a Russian woman who fled to her country. As you can see, she has neither fled nor is a Russian woman somebody who's born and raised here in Ohio. And I think shaming victims is something that we should never allow to have happen again. So Holly's here for one simple reason, it's the same reason I'm here. How do we make certain this never happens again? We're going to talk to some of our state legislators to see if we can put something in place that I call, with her permission, calling Holly's Act, which is how do we raise the bar on minimum sentencing, minimum bail requirements. We have to be much more transparent with our judges. Our judges can no longer hide behind their cloak, and they have to be held accountable for not upholding law and order. The police know this every day. They risk their lives to arrest these criminals. They go out and make difficult arrests. But when judges undermine that by giving criminals a slap on the hand, and when we in the federal and state side don't put in enough strong sentencing to punish these people, then the result is what it ends up being. So we're going to work on that. We'll also say this, we're going to end the revolving door of injustice. I think that's something that everybody agrees on, this idea that it's the same repeat offenders. The gentleman that assaulted her, that almost, by the way, let's be honest, because a lot of times you guys are qualifying this as a brawl. This was attempted murder of an innocent woman. And that person had a rap sheet a mile long. In fact, my team is going to hand that out to all of you. Nobody who has that rap sheet should be walking the streets of any Ohio city free. And we're going to make certain that something like that does not happen again. And so now what I'd like to do is maybe turn it over to Holly, see if we can come up, say a few comments, and then we'll answer your questions. And thank you again, Holly, for being here.
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, I just want to say that I don't want to relive what happened to me, 8 or 9 days ago. I'm here to talk about the future and how we can change it, how we can prevent this from happening to anybody else. These heinous crimes have to stop. I never want this to happen to anyone else, especially a mother, a daughter, somebody who is loved. So I just know what it's done to my family, not just to me. And I think that moving forward, we do need more accountability. And I definitely think that, we need more police officers, but like he said, the judges who are just letting people out with a slap. The man who attacked me and might have permanently damaged me forever should never have been on the streets, ever. And the fact that he had just gotten out of jail previously for something he should have been in there for years, it's really sad to me because I can't even fathom how many other people who have been attacked by the same type of man over and over and over. In Toledo, in Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton, our streets are being taken over and nobody is doing anything. I am so sad, and I need to be the voice to help all of the victims that never got their justice. So
Thank you,
I just
Ellen.
want to say that.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And look, and before I take your question, let me just make one final comment. The thing that none of us as Americans or Ohioans should ever accept is that, hey, this happens all the time. The editor of the Cleveland Plain Dealer said, well, these kinds of fights, this kind of stuff happens all the time. What's the big deal? I guarantee you if it was his wife that had that happen to him, he wouldn't be thinking that. And I think we have to draw a line in the sand and say that, no, this is not acceptable behavior. And it's also, to the people of Cincinnati, not acceptable for you to see something like this happen, and your first instinct is to grab your phone to record it so you can share it and get a bunch of likes on social media. There needed to be humanity that night. Humanity that said, my God, look what's happened to this woman. I'm going to go help her. I'm going to go try to de-escalate the situation. I'm going to call the authorities. I'm going to call an ambulance. All that should have been done by fellow citizens. It's not enough that we say, well, that's the job of the police department. No, it's all of our jobs to stand up for law and order in our community. So that's the message to everybody. Thank you. And with that, we'll start with questions with left to right. This one?
Yeah, that one, just lower it down. Thank you.
There you go. You thought I was taller. Is that what happened? Go ahead.
Senator Tyler Madden with Local 12. When we talked last week, you spoke about possibly suspending withholding federal funding from Cincinnati if you didn't see a plan. How did that meeting go today? Are you optimistic, just following up on that with what you heard from leaders today? And what are you looking to see?
It's as optimistic a start as I think we can get. Look, I don't want to do that. This is a very blunt instrument. Unfortunately, it's the only tool I have. But we've got, again, it didn't start well. I'll just be honest. I'm sure the mayor will tell you the same thing. The meeting didn't start well, but an important part is it ended well. And I think we ended in a spirit of cooperation. We exchanged cell phone numbers. I had a 35-minute phone call with the chief. I think everybody was given a homework assignment, including myself. And we're going to go back and say, how do we actually just fix? How do we move forward? We never want to see a picture like that ever again in any Ohio city. And I think that if this continues, we're going to be back on August 19th, and then here on a regular basis to make certain that we're making forward progress. As long as we're making forward progress, the opposite is what I'll offer to the city of Cincinnati. I want to open up federal funding to see how can we fund programs to help solve the problem. So I think it was as constructive a meeting as it could be.
Just one follow-up on that $2 million city council proposing to go toward more police overtime, another recruit class. Was that talked about too? Is that a step you'd like to see? Any specific more things you'd like to see?
Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about more signing bonuses for police officers, how to get to the authorized level of staffing. By the way, so you have the numbers, because I want to be accurate here. 1,059 police officers at the authorized level. We're currently at 1,000, including the 56 recruits, so you can't really count those. So you add that together, we're 115 officers short. We're going to turbocharge that effort to get us up to that authorized spending level of 1,059 officers. And then I think there's an honest conversation that needs to happen. Is that enough? Should that number look more like 1,100 or 1,200? And what do we have to do to get to that point in time? I will make a shameless plug for the One Big Beautiful Bill for those officers that are working overtime. Thanks to Republicans in Congress, they no longer pay income tax on that overtime. Yes?
Have you or Holly seen the entire video yet? I know Chief Fiji said that they were supposed to release potential surveillance video and body cam video. Have you guys seen it prior to today or today at that meeting?
No, we did not share the video. Holly doesn't need to see the video. She lived it live. So in terms of me, look, I've between seeing the videos that are out there, listening to her and the other victims, there's a pretty complete picture of what happened, which is something something that was obviously a mob attack, something that should never have happened to Holly. And look, at the end of the day, what solves these things from happening is a better police presence, better technology to know that these things are happening. Civilians that call authorities to alert them to bring aid is really critically important. Those are all the things that we've got to fix. But I can tell you the police, every single day, put their lives at risk for us, and they do the best they can with the tools they've got.
Holly,
Yeah, of course.
Are you able to take some questions?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm a little nervous.
No, I know you don't want to relive it. I don't want you to relive at night. I'm just glad you're able to stand here and use your voice. What, at the end of the day, do you hope comes out of this? And, where are you getting your strength from?
So definitely just being a mom. I know for years I have felt hopeless for the future of my children, what kind of world they're going to grow up in, because it has just gotten, worse and worse. You can't even let your children play it in your own yard, let alone at parks or going outside. And the biggest thing that I think really upsets me is the desensitization of humans, where there's a brutal attack, attempted murder in front of you, and they all think, oh, cool, let me get my phone and record it. I truly hope that in the future there's some sort of bill to where somebody has to be prosecuted or at least fined if they don't call 911 first to save someone's life. And I think that's going to help a lot, not just, funding more police, which we do need, which I really hope moving forward, we get the proper police. But like he said, it comes also from the citizens. We all need to help each other out and start helping humanity.
You say attempted murder. I know you use that. I don't know if you remember being on the ground, but did you feel like you were going to die that night? I
truly felt like that. And I still am just shocked that I didn't. So are my doctors. So, at first I didn't know what to think of it. And the more that I think of it and the more that I have to rewatch the video, and seeing my body on the ground and seeing how big and strong that man is, there's no justification, and I feel strongly about that. However they prosecute him, whatever they say, that's just how I feel in my heart.
Holly, with everything that's happened to you, what's some of the good that's come out of this?
Oh my goodness. I think that people are coming together, kind of like today, the meeting that happened today. I don't think they would have been able to get into a room and say, how can we move forward? How can we help each other? I feel like the whole country is so divided normally of Republican or Democrat or white and black or, all these different things. But now they're just saying, how can we just find love and come together? How can we stop looking at it as religion, color, all of these other things? And how do we just look at it as making our community safe again? So I think that is bringing everyone together in that aspect. And that is what's giving me my strength to keep going, knowing that there will be a better future for my children. And, you guys have the power right now to do something about it.
Now, Holly,
Everyone.
prior to today, did you hear from city officials at all?
I cannot comment on that.
Can you talk about your recovery, your physical recovery, and kind of what you've been through, the extent of your injuries?
I'm still going to a lot of specialists. I'm kind of like Dory the fish right now, if you will. So I have my aunt as my caretaker because I literally my brain comes and goes a little bit. My memory in my body, they call it the aftershock. The doctors, the first couple of days, it was really just here, and now it has just completely gone into my whole body. Like I'm having a lot of trouble just walking, moving, getting out of bed. I'm in excruciating pain all the time. If it wasn't so important to be here today to help talk, kind of be the voice for preventing this for the future, I would not have left my aunt's basement in a dark bed with the blanket over my head. It's been horrible.
What was your reaction when you heard the fifth person got arrested earlier this week and then just today, December the 6th?
I'm really glad, especially the fact that the person who got arrested today was the female, because she had just as much part of it, and I think so many people were talking about the males, but I mean, I think as a whole, it should be the males, the females, anyone who had a part of it. But I do feel a little bit safer knowing the man who did this to me was finally arrested. I know I haven't I haven't slept in a while, and that at least took me out of fight or flight to where I was like, okay, I can relax, and my name has been cleared as a Russian spy, so I feel better about that. So, so no, I hope that they keep going. I hope that they don't stop and they get as many as they can to keep the streets safe for everyone.
Senator, we've seen a few studies that show that mandatory minimum increases don't necessarily deter crime. Can you expand on why you think this legislation would be effective?
Yeah, because mandatory minimums do reduce crime. That's a talking point from the people who don't believe in law and order.
I'm looking at Pew Research.
And that was, you took the words out of my mouth. The only people that say stuff like that is Pew Research. So literally, you beat me to it. Look, the reality is, we have a guiding principle, two beautiful words: common sense. If you commit a crime and you're punished for it, you will commit less crimes, and the punishment has to fit the crime. I mean, look, here's the reality: Holly has a death sentence, a life sentence. This is a life sentence for her. And anybody who has a mom in their life, a wife in their life, a daughter in their life knows that there's no recovery from that. Every single day for the rest of her life, she's going to have to live through this. And yet the person who does it gets away with, oh, you know, you're a bad guy, and if you give us $400, we'll put you in some sort of community service program. No. That person should suffer just as much as she's going to suffer for the rest of her life. If that's not attempted murder, what is? When you are a strong young man and you clock a woman in the head and her head hits a concrete or asphalt street, what do you think is going to happen to her? You think it was going to be a nice thing? Well, imagine if that happened to you. What would be your mandatory minimum sentence if that was you or your mom or your sister? I tell you, it wouldn't be a slap in a wrist in community service. And look, the deterrent has to fit. If you don't have punishment that's real, and this has become a problem, to a large extent, it's become a game with these criminals, with the police officers, which is massively demoralizing for the police. They do their work, they risk their lives, they capture this person, they arrest them, they put handcuffs on them, they put them in their squad car. None of that, by the way, is safe for the officer. They're at risk every single second of every part of that operation. Then they get that person in jail. They have to do mounds of paperwork, document everything, and heaven forbid they didn't dot an I or cross a T. And then to see a judge let them off like that before they're even done doing paperwork. Do you know what that feels like as a police officer? Why would I do this job? So look, to the people who want to go into the law enforcement field, I can tell you one of the things that came out of the meeting today is that's not going to be tolerated any longer in Cincinnati, in Hamilton County, or anywhere in Ohio. We're going to make certain that when you are a police officer and you raise your hand, you volunteer to serve our communities. I hope you do. I hope the people watching this, hoping there's a young man or young woman out there watching this and sees no better calling than to be a police officer, to make certain that you protect people like Holly, that you sign up and become a police officer, make a difference in your community. There's no more moral obligation that you can have to serve your community than being a police officer. And we want to have people step up. We want to have too many recruits coming in to serve the community. We're going to have your back, and we're going to make certain that these judges are held accountable.
Senator, you were mentioning the collaboration now with the city, county, state, even the FBI. You mentioned the meeting getting heated. What is going to be done moving forward that wasn't done before?
Well, look, it's all of us in the same room talking. I'll give you a little for instance. Everybody has turf wars. You guys understand that. I'm sure there's turf wars in your profession too. You have a county prosecutor, and they have a team and a staff, right? They have pride of ownership of what they do. And then you have a U.S. Attorney's Office that has the same thing. But sometimes we can move a criminal from the state system to the federal system. That requires a federal U.S. attorney, and we have one in Dominic Geraci, that's willing to take these cases on. And to your question about mandatory minimums, you know what else is going to be a deterrent is when you go out and you mess around and you commit some of these crimes and you think, oh, it's going to be some local judge, some district judge that's going to let me off. Oh, no, you're going to have a federal judge and a federal prosecutor and a U.S. attorney and an FBI that's going to prosecute you, and that will also be a deterrent. We're going to bring the U.S. Marshals in as well. I think there's a role for them to play. There's a big role for the DEA, ATF to play. to get these guns, illegal guns, out of the system. So there's a lot of work that's going to be done. It all happens when you collaborate. You talk to anybody in law enforcement, and they'll tell you that the most effective deterrent, the most effective way to conduct law enforcement is everybody is on the same page and is in the same room. In fact, I give major credit to the special agent in charge of the FBI, who said, let's meet twice a week. Let's meet twice a week, every week going forward. We'll talk about cases. We'll say, should this be you? Should this be you? Should this be a district judge? Or should it be a federal judge? That kind of cooperation is really important.
So it sounds like a lot of the gun cases, you're suggesting moving them to the federal level instead of the state level?
Absolutely, if that's what it takes, absolutely, yes.
What are the metrics you're going to be using to identify if we're moving in the right direction when you come back
Yep.
on August 19th and moving forward?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So Director Kash Patel is not only an amazing director of the FBI, happens to be a really good friend. He's offered to provide the data source so we can all agree. So when we say crime is down, crime is sideways, crime is down, up, we have objective metrics. These are the actual statistics. Kind of like the staffing levels. We now know exactly what the actual metric is, 1,059 officers. That's what we have to hit. We're 115 short of that number, 56 in the recruitment class. We have to get the extra 56 officers across the finish line. So the FBI is going to provide that data, not just for Cincinnati. Cincinnati had this incident happen. This could have easily happened in Cleveland, probably more likely, honestly, to happen in Cleveland. In Columbus, could have happened in Youngstown, Dayton, Toledo. So we're going to have metrics for the top 7 cities, and what we want to see is improvement. So a very simple scorecard. Green means you're doing better, red means you're not doing better. And then an action plan that's driven by that. So if we're going backwards, what are you doing about it? And it can't be shifting blame. Look, I think one of the things that we learn in the business world where I'm from is you have to do better, and you have to have a plan, and you have to acknowledge you have a problem. I think that's where the meeting didn't start out so great. Like, if we think everything's perfect, then we have one set of circumstances. I don't think Holly thinks it's perfect. It wasn't perfect for her, and we have to do better. So we have to get past that gate of we have to do better, and then we have to get past the next gate, which is it doesn't matter whose fault it is. It matters who's going to be involved in getting to a solution. And that's how we ended the meeting. I think that was very productive. I applaud the mayor for plowing through. I applaud the chief for plowing through, and everybody in that room who we had to put aside a lot of egos and a lot of rhetoric and just plow forward with one central premise. We love this city, we love this state, we love this country, and we can never allow something like that to happen again. Very simple.
Who initiated that meeting?
We asked everybody to come together, and it was private, if you noticed. We didn't want to have those discussions because, look, this is about constructive forward progress. That's what it's all about. And we're going to get to the other side. I firmly believe in the core ingredients of Cincinnati are here. By the way, I forgot to mention a world-class soccer team too, by the way. So, so make sure that I don't miss Cincinnati United. But look, we have world-class amenities. This is a great city. And by the way, what happened here is much worse, much exponentially worse in cities like Chicago, New York, and where I have to go work every week in Washington, D.C. So we just don't want to go there. We don't want to get to the point where we even remotely resemble those cities. And I think there's police officers who maybe work in those communities that want to come to where they can have better housing, more affordable, better communities. So if somebody's watching this that lives in New York, Chicago, L.A., San Francisco, Boston, come to Ohio, come to Cincinnati, be a police officer here. We'll give you better benefits, better quality of life, and we'll always have your back because we don't have complete raving lunatics as mayors. So, look, there's an opportunity here for Cincinnati to be even better. And that's why Holly, look, I told Holly I wasn't going to get corny. It took a lot for her to have the courage to leave her home and stand in front of you. This is not new. Look, I've been doing this campaigning and being in office for 3 years now. For her, this is totally new. For her to stand in front of you and take questions took an enormous amount of courage, but she's doing it because she wants her state to be better. And I hope that every elected official, when we meet on August 19th and every meeting after that, that we keep her in mind and say, look, that we're doing this because we don't ever want this repeated. And if she has the strength to come here in front of all of you and in front of millions of people that may be watching, we should have the courage to sit in a room, put our egos aside, our agendas aside, and say what is best for this community. And I think we will get there. I am very, very optimistic for the future. In fact, I would encourage everybody in this metro area who's watching, take a stand. You know how you can take a stand? Come visit a Cincinnati establishment today, tomorrow, this weekend. Do not let the bad guys win. We win when we stay home. When we say, you know what, I don't want to be like Holly. I'm too afraid to go out. No, then they win. The bad guys win. You show up here in downtown Cincinnati and have dinner at any of 20 different restaurants that I could recommend for you that are absolutely fantastic. That's how we show that we're not going to be bullied into submission. And I hope we have record turnout for every single solitary event that happens in Cincinnati for the rest of the year. That's how we rise up as a community. Benny Johnson, I give credits to him. He wanted to put a GoFundMe page. Actually, by the way, I'm going to embarrass Holly here. She said, please don't do that. I don't want people giving me anything for nothing. And Benny said, no, you call her back and talk her into it. And she reluctantly took it. Because of people all over America, we've raised over $500,000 to help Holly. That shows the humanity. That's what America is all about. That's what makes our country special. And we never should forget that. You'll take 2 more questions and we'll wrap up.
And when you're talking about elected officials, I know there was probably so much talked about today, but did the comments by Victoria Parks come out at all?
Look, I didn't go there this morning because it's so obvious. And, you know, they were so outrageous, so off the pale that she's got to make a decision to make at this point. What does her morality look like when she's accepting money to be employed by the city of Cincinnati and made such outrageous comments? Again, I'm not going to look at Holly when I say this. How she read those comments and didn't completely break down is beyond me. And Victoria Parks, at least the first thing you should do as a good Christian is pick up the phone and call her and apologize. Say, I am so sorry that I made those comments. Maybe there's not forgiveness that happens from the general community, and she has to decide that with God, but she should at least seek forgiveness from the person that she hurt very badly. And also, a couple of the comments that were made by Pastor Lynch, I think were outrageous. This has nothing to do with race. The idea that I'm somehow here advocating for this because she happens to be white. By the way, I'm Hispanic. She's Irish. This has nothing to do with whether you're Hispanic, white, Indian, black. I don't care your nationality. If you're a woman going out to eat in a restaurant, you get the crap beat out of you as your life. I don't care who you are. That's unacceptable. And for him to make it racial, like we were race baiting, and by the way, it's despicable that we have these KKK banners being floated around town. That's not who we are. And this is probably a dozen complete morons, total misfits that combined maybe have 100 IQ between the 15 people that are probably doing this, that are despicable human beings that probably aren't even from Ohio. To them, you're not welcome here. And that's what we got to show a force the other way. We got to show a force the other way. This is our moment. This is Cincinnati's moment to rise. And the reason I'm so optimistic is because I know we will rise to this moment. This will never define us. What will define us is what we do from today forward. Fix the problem, make certain that we have safety and prosperity in this community, and show that we're much better than what we saw 8 days ago. And we are. That's the good news. And Holly, thank you for having the strength to be here to address everybody. I want to thank all of you for covering this story, and I think you've done a very good job of covering it. I think you've been very fair. And I'll leave this to the people who've made the comments that you just spoke about. Time for retribution is still open. And there's nothing wrong with having some self-reflection and saying, after thinking about it, maybe I was off kilter and I can apologize. And I know that Holly's a good Christian and probably will actually accept that apology. And that's the beginning of healing, and I hope that happens. We'll take one last question.
One more thing, Senator. You mentioned Holly's Law, Holly's Act. When do you have an idea of maybe rolling some of that out? And do you think the people that were recording but maybe didn't call 911, should some sort of prosecution be included in that as well?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, there already are laws that say that if you do not come to aid, that there could be possible consequences. But look, if you're watching this and you live in the city of Cincinnati, that's not who we are. That's not who we are. We're not people that watch a woman get beaten to the inch of her life, and our first instinct is to get out and videotape something so that you can be cool on Instagram. That's not who we are. That's not the Midwest. That's not why we live in communities like Cincinnati. And when you see something, you do something. You get involved. There's strength in numbers. And that's what we're seeing, not only with the support that's come to Holly, over $500,000 raised for her. That isn't about the money. It's about the idea that there's humanity there. And look, this is going to be a moment in time that I hope we remember as the inflection point in which we said we just won't put up with this kind of status quo. We're not going to do that. We're not going to let the bad guys win. We're not going to let the criminals win. We're not going to allow the police to continue to be disparaged. We're not going to allow judges to hide behind their lack of transparency to say how they sentence people. And we're going to put some resources behind electing good judges. That's one of the commitments I made to not only Holly but to the people in that room, is when we have judges that are up for election, we're going to put resources behind electing good judges. Simple. What does it mean to be a good judge? Somebody who follows the law and enforces it. That's colorblind, blind whether you're powerful or not powerful, that everybody gets treated equally under the law. It's why my family left South America, because it's the one place on earth where we built this country because we value law and order. And to every police officer for the city of Cincinnati, understand that all of us have your back. Have your back. We haven't done as well as we should have, including myself. And we will do better. We will do better to make certain that when you put on that uniform and you leave your home, that we know that you're out there fighting for all of us in this community. We thank you. And those watching that want to have a glorious profession, today, right now, go on the Cincinnati City website and sign up to be a police officer. We need you to make certain that something like that does not happen to any other person in this community. And it means that you step up, you sign up and be a police officer, and know that we'll have your back. Thank you, all of you, for being here. Holly, thank you. Appreciate it.